So, folks, this is a pre-record, but Billy Celio was nice enough to come on by and say hello, and I reached out and we were able to set up to chat. So Billy's a busy man. Like I had to fight through secretaries and secretaries of secretaries in order to get Billy on here. Billy, thank you for joining us.
I'm glad you finally made it to the red phone
It,
at my desk. That you were able to get a hold of me.
it was very tough. Let me tell you. I don't care what anybody says. You are the toughest man to reach out at Upper Deck. Like honestly, I had to tell the president I didn't want to talk to him. I don't need you. I need Billy. He's like, Billy's busy. No, I need Billy is who I need to talk to. He's the man in charge of everything. Trust me. But no, I just want to chat. I'm having a little fun with it. But we did stick with the little festive themed. I want to talk to Billy a little bit about the upcoming AEW product. So fortunately, we'll be able to have a little chat and talk about a couple of things related to it. And then this will actually come out before the product comes out. Thankfully, the product is, from what I understand, like I'm seeing previews of case breaks. I'm seeing people saying their stuff is getting shipped. It's like the moment is nigh. We have arrived after all the delays. It's a wonderful thing.
Thursday the 6th.
Yes.
That's the official date.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. It's one of those things. I'm not a box breaker. I'll be fully transparent about that, and I'll talk about a little bit about the reason why part of it. But I'm genuinely interested in the product, and part of the reason is because when I was chatting with Billy before we hit record, was that AEW has been kind of it's been a fun revelation for me because I'm a longtime wrestling fan. I've enjoyed it going back many moons. Attitude Era, of course, was very fun time. I kind of started watching regularly in New Generation, although I was a frequent visitor in the old VHS section of Jumbo Video in Canada, where I got to see some of the older stuff. And, I had my personal favorites, not AEW related, but I got to get in the clip when I can. So you got to have that queued up. Don't you want $1 million man cackle button? It's wonderful.
Hey, and in case you're wondering, you can go to any corner anywhere and find Virgil.
Yes.
And he will be there to sign anything for you.
Well, I didn't want to tell you this, but he might actually be in your backyard right now. It's very possible he's right there, like just waiting for you to go outside and make the mistake of making eye contact, and he will probably offer a photo op and then send you a bill.
Yes,
it's very concerning. But $1 Million Man was one of my favorites, of course, and it's still not AEW related, but it's still a fun memory. And the point that I was making with that is that professional wrestling is a lot about memories, moments, these little things. It's entertainment. Like at the end of the day, no matter how we slice it, it's entertainment. And the thing for me is that I watched WWE for many moons, many years, and there was some good stuff in there. I've never been a fan of everything WWE does, but I've enjoyed it on the whole. But at a certain point, I started to get frustrated as a fan. And the way I present it is that they started kind of offering me less and less and less. And and now in the PVR age, my measuring stick is this. If I record your show, I'm going to fast forward through stuff that doesn't interest me because frankly, I don't have the energy or the time to sit there. Whereas in the old days, I had to sit there and watch the whole show no matter what. Now I'll fast forward through the segments I don't want to. When I reach the point where I'm fast forwarding through 98% of your show, I'm probably not going to record your show anymore. Then probably that's the end of that. And AEW is offering me something where I can watch most of the show. Even if I don't love every segment, I'm loving 90% of the segments, 85%, which is fantastic. It's great for me.
Oh, I agree. And you can tell that these guys care about the wrestling. Mm-hmm. Like it's very obvious that they care about the wrestling. There seems to be a lot. I mean, you couldn't tell by their personalities on the show sometimes, but it seems like a lot of like big names have less of an ego on from AEW. Also, like they're more worried about putting on a good match. They're more worried about, like you said, entertaining the crowd. There are some guys that are champions, have been champions, and they haven't. Like Jon Moxley was the champion for a while. You know what he's been doing lately? I mean, I think he was injured, but like even before that, though, he was just putting on some good matches that weren't, championship related. He was just wrestling against some good guys, some quality wrestlers, and it seems that they care a lot about putting on a good show.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's one of those things where, as a result of that, as a fan, this is great for me. And that's why I'm repping the merch and everything. I got that going. In Canada, let me tell you, it's tougher to get that merch. It takes a little bit of time. You have to be very patient. So I was able to get that. But it's been fun because because originally, and you've mentioned it on other shows before, they kind of teased that Upper Deck was going to get the product back into being the Elite episode where they're showing them signing something that looks mysteriously like Upper Deck stickers.
Yeah, that was okay. So as I've said this before, I knew about. I mean, obviously I knew about it. I was building the sets,
Sure.
but I knew that we got the AEW. I was super excited. I was in some of the meetings because they knew I had a wrestling background, that I loved wrestling, and so they had some of the higher ups, go into the board office, and they invited me to those because they kind of wanted me to get a feel for it also, and see what we could possibly do, and brainstorm and and so I knew about this for a while. And so then when it came out that the Young Bucks were posting videos of themselves signing stickers, it's just kind of like, okay. And then I'm still amazed on how good some of you guys are about figuring this stuff out. I mean, people were zooming in on the stick. I would go on Twitter and see, like, magnified by 1,000 times, and people, no, that's what they use for this product, and like, okay, well, they figured it out. Can I say something? They're like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but they know. They're like, nope. We're gonna kind of, yeah. They might know. They think they know, but let's play this out a little more, and let's get them even more anxious about it. Which I can't argue with it, because they finally decided at the National to announce it, and there was a lot of excitement at the National about AEW us officially announcing our partnership with them. So, that we slow played it, that's for sure. But we're really excited about it now, and we're going forward 100%.
Absolutely. And I think part of the excitement is also that because it is a new company, they don't really, this is the first real card product that they have for it. Because they did a little all out set that was very specific to that one time show. It was like a box release. And that's kind of for some folks, that's kind of the rookie card of certain folks in AEW, because you've got Britt Baker, you've got Hangman Page, MJF, and a couple of them in their current gimmick iteration. The whole the whole rookie card thing in wrestling, I'm not even going to get into that because it's too complicated. I laugh about it. The debates are endless, but it's still, nonetheless, this is a proper pack pulled issue that's AEW specific, that's related to it, that has autographs, that has these different components and elements to it, which is exciting because you can get AEW folks in other products, but you got to go basically to like an all-out set. And one of the ones that that came out a couple of years earlier was Leaf did a wrestling set, and you can get some of the folks in it. And folks like me that wanted to be able to collect stuff related to it, we had to go looking for. So you got like a Britt Baker and Penelope Ford, which is a great combination. But it's one of those things. Now you can get the Britt Baker that's an Upper Deck. So that's another opportunity where now that Britt Baker is not really AEW Britt Baker. It's not, it is Britt Baker, but it's not the same. That's why I say wrestling is a bit murky with the way we do our things. But having it with the AEW branding, AEW product, it's very clearly Britt Baker DMD and the whole bit. That's different. That adds that extra element to it.
See, and I don't have a problem talking about rookie cards or whatever, sure, with AEW. It obviously was brought up, and I it would take a lot of research to figure out what their first cards potentially could be, or if the cards we were making were their first cards. Some are really easy, like Adam Cole's had a card, but some of them you might have to go back and look. In the future, is that something that we do? Can we say, first AEW card? Yeah, that's something that potentially in the future we can look into. But the first one, I'd say one of the, and this just is a testament to how smart our licensor is, and they get it. AEW, surprisingly, it wasn't us, but AEW came to us and was just like, hey, we're seeing all this buzz that this Pokemon first edition like stuff saying, and it says first edition. They're like, we want to put first edition on the first set. We're like, that's a great idea. So this first set of the AEW will have first edition on the back of the cards, and that was them. Like, as I said, they get it, and they've done an amazing job marketing the product. When we had our preview cards come out, they're putting it out. We came up with the card like the day before, and that we'll get it on the show tomorrow. We're like, really? They're like, yeah. they had it on the show the next day, and they, as I said, they get it. So, but for rookie cards for AEW, it's something that we'll definitely look into the future, as in first AEW cards. We can't necessarily put first card, because there, like you said, there's these box sets, there's these road shows that we have no idea if people have made cards. That these cards could pop up out of nowhere.
I will say wrestling folks go to war over this. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like I enjoy it as a general card collector, generally sports cards. I do collect, like I showed one because because it was very pertinent to what we're talking about. But in like that series, these are all autographed cards from a lot of those series. A
Yeah.
lot of these folks have AEW connections.
Yep.
Not coincidentally, because up until your product that is coming out, this is the closest that I have, because these are the characters with the same, name and setup as what you're going to get in your product, which is great. That's why I say, like, I'm still insistent, even as not a box breaker person, I'm here for the singles. I'm ready to go as far as that's concerned, and I'm going to be part of participating in the secondary market on those singles. So, guys, open those boxes, get those cards out there, so that I'll take a stab at it and see what I can do. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But the point is, there are fans who want some of that stuff. I'm not going to collect a million celebrity things. I don't really collect a lot of non-sports. I'll call wrestling non-sports because it's still entertainment. Like, I got to be fair about it. But, there's still a lot of fun to be had in a lot of this stuff. And a lot of this stuff is really fun to collect. So you're offering another opportunity and another avenue for that. And to me, that's a win. That's a fantastic thing.
Yep.
Yeah. But one of the things that's going to be very interesting to me, and that's why I say, like, now that we're on the cusp of actually getting released, which is wonderful. Like I said, I've been looking forward to it. For me, it's like, I'm waiting. Please get your boxes so that you can open them, and then I can actually start going after some of these singles. You decided to go with an interesting approach, and I want to ask you a little bit about it. And you've talked about it before, but let's have a quick chat about it. So it isn't going to be a one autograph per box product. It's not. It's going to be tiered. There's different subsets and inserts. I've scoured, the checklist a little bit and taken a look and seen some of the odds. And I have no moral objection to it, but it is a different approach. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit of the thought process behind going this way, where the inserts take a little bit more prominence? The autographs are there, but you're not going to get them in a box necessarily unless you're a little bit lucky.
Yeah. So, I've collected wrestling cards for quite some time, and I know that there's a quote unquote formula. You usually get at least, for a $40 to $60 box, you would get an autograph and usually like some sort of matte relic or manufactured patch or manufactured something. And then there's some other boxes that may be a little bit more, 60 to 80, that you get 2 autographs from. And the prices in this last year or so have gone up. So one thing, AEW was very adamant. They wanted to be modern. They wanted stuff to be different. And also, this first set, and keep in mind, this is the first set. Like, don't base every single AEW set off of the strategy that we're using for this first set. There'll be other products in the future that will have more autograph content, that'll have more memorabilia content to it. But this first set, if you look at this set and look at maybe our flagship for hockey, you could see some similarities to it. And, how many autographs do you get in a box of Series 1 hockey? You don't get, you're lucky to get one a case, it's not dependent on autographs. And so we kind of took the same approach with this set. And then the other thing is, I collect autographs. I get in-person autographs, and I also will buy stuff. And look at the secondary market at a lot of these autographs of a lot of the top wrestlers. They are. You're constantly bringing the same wrestlers to each product, and it's the same autographs. And they've kind of lost a lot of, like, every year they'll bring somebody big new, like someone new big, and those cards will go well, and then some of the superstars will sell well. But for the most part, there's a lot of $2 to $10 autographs that you get in these boxes, and some of that has to just do with the fact that they might not be the most popular wrestler, but the other thing is there's just a lot of them. And so we wanted to kind of bring value back to the autographs. And we're doing it not only in wrestling, we're doing it in other sports and other products. But we wanted to bring back value. We want them to be something sought after. So that's the approach that we took. You get 4 autographs per case, and I understand it doesn't fit the mold. I read all the little forums, and everyone's just like, it was so easy. Why did they have to mess this up? All they have to do was follow what everyone else says. Well, guess what? Upper Deck has never followed what everyone else does.
Right.
Remember the first packs of Upper Deck cards were, like, I remember going to a card show, and you're sitting there buying regular packs for less than $1, and Upper Deck was $4 or $5 a pack, and you're just like, this is outrageous for a pack of cards. And we're not charging like $1 million a pack for this stuff, but what I'm saying is we're doing stuff differently. We don't necessarily want to copy what other people are doing. Mm-hmm. And so, you know what, I bet you when you see Panini come out with their wrestling stuff, it's not going to be like Topps either. Mm-hmm. So
I'm looking forward to the sheer number of parallels. It'd be very entertaining.
Yeah. There'll be lots of colors, that's for sure. But we're doing something different, and they're doing something different. So the mold that Topps has made for wrestling cards, it worked for them. I guess is however long it worked for them. But we want to switch stuff up, and so people are like, oh well, you're not getting autographs. That's all we get the stuff for. Well, you find nowadays that there's a lot more than just autographs that people can get value out of. We are doing the exclusives. We're doing the high gloss. We're doing shadow box cards, which I don't really think has ever been done in wrestling cards. And
I don't believe so.
You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't believe so.
We've got some, I want to say shiny cards, but we've got some cool parallels. The pyro parallels and the dynamite parallels that are bright, they're colorful, they've got cool designs and stuff. We've got different inserts. And one thing that I really want to do, I don't want to say like show off knowledge of wrestling, but I want to kind of really focus the inserts with wrestling, with the show, with the stuff. That's why, a lot of the stuff is named after stuff in wrestling that, insert wise, So we decided to use a lot of technology and replace autographs with technology, and then that'll help give the autographs value.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you that the upside is that because AEW is a new property, you can kind of push back and say, like, there has literally never been another AEW specific product. One of the ones that has some of the rookie cards, again, disputed. Wrestling is murky with what is a rookie card and what isn't. I'm not gonna delve into that. I've seen some of the debates; they're very entertaining, but they're a different thing. But even something like an All Out set or whatever, it technically wasn't AEW. It was sort of promoted as an AEW show, as an All Out show that involved a lot of different people, some of who aren't at the company now, and some of who definitely are and are prominent players in that game. So for the hardcore of the hardcore, that's a great selection. You've got some of the good ones. But in this case, it's an AEW product through and through, and you know exactly what it is. It's branded as such from front to back. What I think will be interesting, and this is where I don't have any moral opposition to it, but I think it's going to be interesting how it plays out, is that you've got this staggered system where the autographs are tougher, but it's based on the individual card. Like, it's not, from what I've seen and scanned through, it's not like every single card is at an exact amount of ratio. There's it depends on the person, depends on the subset. It depends on there's a little bit of variation in terms of how often you find a certain autograph of a certain individual.
Yeah. And then there's inserts, like you got your base set, and a lot of the people in the base set have autographs. And like you said, they're kind of tiered. Mm-hmm. And then there's also other inserts that might not have all, 100 people in the set. It's only a 30 card insert. And so that will parallel to an autograph. Well, we don't use all 30 of them. So, there's your chance to get some more autographs. So maybe some of the guys that aren't as prominent in the base version of the autographs. And, there's a number of those kind of parallels and inserts that have autographs. I think like the dotted line is one. I think there's a few other, I know there's a few others, but it gives you, there's more options to get, maybe some of the names that aren't as fluent in the base set.
Mhm. No, completely fair. I think it's gonna be fun to see because it wasn't until I've been a wrestling fan the whole time, but I haven't really been a collector of wrestling cards. I've dabbled in here and there. It's one of those things where I've kind of come and gone with it. But it's been fascinating getting back into the space. Not that I want everything because I really don't. I'm very particular and very picky. I'm very specific in what I want. But at the same time, it's been interesting to see kind of I've seen a little bit of a development of like a player collection version of this. It's like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I kind of like this. And a product like the one you've set up here is it can work with that because if you've got a favorite, you want to get Powerhouse Hobbs, you can get the base card, you can get a couple of parallels, maybe you get the autograph, but then you chase after that. So it doesn't have to be the full set. Of course, there's the set collectors. That's always going to be part of it. And then there's going to be the real hardcore of the hardcore is going to try to go for the master set. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go through there, but I love that there's these variations, very similar to the way that a lot of the sports card thing, because the player collector I don't think was a thing in wrestling until a couple of years ago. That's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah. I used, you'd collect you'd buy a box and you usually would get almost a full set of it, or either a full set or pretty close to a full set. And so, you're going to get close to a full set, maybe like 75% of a set if you open up a box. But like you said, then there's for those master ones or another insert that, we brought from hockey over to wrestling, and it totally fits because the name of it's canvas. What do you wrestle on? You wrestle on the canvas. I'm like, this is perfect. And what I love about that is canvas cards are known for the unique photography, and AEW has provided a lot of amazing photography for us too to use. And so that's going to be some of the stuff that will be like cool cards that maybe people will personally want to get signed. I remember asking the question, I'm like, how close to that fourth wall are we allowed to go for some of the stuff? Because I explained the set to them, and they're like, well, we don't want, to go, behind the fourth wall. But, they understood what we were saying. But there's some really unique imagery for a set like that too. So yeah, it's great. There's so many different options for PC guys. I had specific wrestlers that I collected. When I was young, I like JYD. That was my guy.
All right, Junkyard Dog, right on.
I'm aging myself a little bit there. And then
a contemporary of my boy from the clip from earlier. A contemporary of that period.
I've got a few wrestlers when I'm marking out that I've met that I really like, that they've been really nice and friendly and talk for a little bit too. If I meet some of these people and they're really nice, I'll collect them. Bliss is one of those that I've met a few times, and she's always been super nice. Cody Rhodes is one that yes, I know he's one of the main guys at AEW, but I met him a few times before AEW. And
is he a good guy or a bad guy, Billy? Is he a good guy or a bad guy right now?
Signed cards for me. This is what I love about the wrestlers too. He signed some cards for me. And some of the cards he was Stardust, and he signed it Stardust.
Oh, really? Okay.
Another one he was Cody Rhodes, and he gave me like two different signatures on two different cards because that was his character. So so I've met him, and he was, you could tell he was really business oriented when I talked to him too, because he was. And you could tell he wasn't happy with the specific company he was working for at the time too. But and I'm not going to sit there and lie and say like we had a 20-minute conversation. It was probably a hot minute or two, but we did talk did talk the business real quick, and he was really cool about it. And so I'm looking forward to collecting some of his cards in this set, just because I had a good experience with them, and that's what a lot of these PC people do is they've met, like the wrestlers make themselves pretty available. You see a lot of them at conventions now. I know like Britt Baker's been at a bunch of conventions, and some of these other guys are popping up. And so, they have personal interaction with the people, and it makes them want to collect them. So I think that helps with PC people also, is just having met the person or seeing the person too.
Absolutely. I would say it is the most unique genre of like entertainment because there's these folks that you'll see on TV every week, but at the same time, then there's an understanding that a lot of this is going on because it's the time right now. If you're being promoted the right way, if you're on the front, you're on the front, but at the this isn't like a sport in the sense that you're at the behest of of the powers that be. You will get as much TV time as your talent slash their desire to make you a star warrants. Of course, your talent can get you a long way, and then of course make it easier for you to get in that spot. And once you get the opportunity, you got to seize it. But it's very interesting to see the kind of the contrast and the comparison. But a lot of them, I think, have an appreciation that it's like this isn't guaranteed. If the winds of change come and my time has passed, and now, I'm still employed, but I'm not nearly featured as prominently. It's a very different thing as opposed to when I'm on top of the world and I'm running everything.
Yeah, you just saw a wrestler from another organization pull Antonio Bryant and just be like, I'm done,
Yep.
and just and left. And
Yeah.
it's it's sometimes their egos are, it can hurt their egos if they're not that top notch also. And a lot of times also they'll sit, I don't want to say beat a dead horse, but they'll just keep bringing back the same matches and the same people over and over again. And it's hard for some of these people that are trying to work their way up sometimes just to even get up there.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I said that a lot of this has to do less. There is merit. Like I'm not going to pretend there is no merit basis to the way this business is structured, but there is an element to, you know what? If somebody vibes with you just right and they happen to be the person who makes the decision, you're good to go. Like it's going to work for you, as opposed to somebody else who's like, no, you've got all the talent in the world, but for some reason it doesn't vibe. So you'll be on the show, but you will not be featured nearly as prominently as person XYZ. And it's a little bit of compare and contrast with that.
And what I'm loving about AEW though right now is they're allowing, like, that first match of the show can be just as good as the last match of the show.
They treat it as a second main event, I think.
They're giving them the opportunity to, like, each match they're giving them the opportunity to show themselves off, whereas other places sometimes, like you said, you're just fast forwarding through stuff because it's just like a quick job, and then on to the next one, and then you're just waiting for the main event. Whereas AEW, it just seems like it could be match after match after match, just putting on a great show.
Absolutely. I think in the long run, it'll be interesting to see how the two companies decide to do their business because there's two main ones. In North America, we know there are other ones. There are other great organizations in other parts of the world because I can at least acknowledge them because I've had the chance to watch some shows from some of these other companies and they do a great job. So it's not to discredit them at all. But it's one of those things where right now in North America, we got the two major players. They're doing their thing. AEW is the newer player in the space. They're building up their thing. And it's one of the things I said to Billy before we started recording. I'm not going to claim they're perfect, but I enjoy what they're doing for my sensibilities. It works for me as like a fan of a long time. I'm seeing the kind of things that I enjoyed seeing back then, and I'm getting a taste of that now. And I'm getting to enjoy some of these characters and some of these performers doing their thing, which has been very fun for me to do. So it makes me more motivated and it's more fun for me to collect these things of these people that is like, actually, I enjoy what you're doing. I like your thing that you're doing, and I think it's fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that's going to be fun. Now, question for you. This is something similar that we were talking earlier about about everybody's best friend in the hobby, Carvin Chung, because he's a legend in the hobby, like he knows stuff, and it's fun to talk to him, of course, because he will talk your ear off about the hobby. There's no doubt. The man is passionate, but I did ask him a question once, and he kind of relayed it out, and I think it's a good question for you as well because this is the very first AEW product. So I'm kind of curious about this piece in terms of the design portion of it. One of the things that Carvin believed was that when you design a new product, because we were talking about exquisite, the cup, that kind of thing initially. That's what we were referring to in this case. But the idea was that, and he purported was that sometimes it's a good idea to hold something back in reserve. I mean, you don't put out every idea. You got some ideas, but at the same time, you want the product to be good. You want to show some cool stuff. But if you come back and you're going to do 2022 AEW in this case, you want to have something in reserve. So did you guys kind of come up with some stuff on the blackboard that's like, next one, next round, let's do it next time?
So I can talk about one other product because we have talked about it on another show.
Sure.
But I've already built 5 AEW sets
All right.
for the next 2 years. So this year we'll have 2 sets, and I can kind of we later on we can talk about the second set.
Sure.
I've already built 3 sets for next year.
All right.
Like already in motion. So yeah, there's plenty in the tank, and you want to know what's. I don't want to say we underestimated, but with this first series, we knew there was a fan base, but you're seeing the secondary market already.
Oh,
I would say we potentially underestimated how popular this was going to be. We knew we had an amazing license. We knew we had an amazing licensor, and we built what we felt was going to be good for the market. When I say good for the market, I meant just like this is the right amount. And the orders started coming in, and we're like, uh-oh, this is a lot bigger than we thought. And so we definitely have other things up our sleeve, and this is just the start of it. Like you saw the preview cards. We're probably going to do something along the lines of some sort of like game dated moment aspect to it, similar to what we have with our hockey and multi-sport. So there will be, for like big events, we'll have some sort of online purchase available, and then we've got yes, there'll be a 2022 AEW similar to 2021. And we've got 2 more sets that are going to blow people's minds away. So no pressure, but I think people are going to be extremely excited about it. And we've got a lot of brand and equity. So I'll just let you think of potential mashups with what we could be doing. But there's lots of possibilities, and I think people will be very excited about what we have planned for 2022 also.
No, that's completely fair. I think that's good stuff. Now, question for you. Obviously, we know that there's some stuff that's going to be left behind the curtain until the time is right, and I'll reach out to you once we get to product number 2, because I think it'll be fun to talk through once we kind of know what it is a little bit more. But let me ask you a question. For the next product, in this case, is there any comparable as far as an existing product, or is it kind of like, yeah, you took a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, a little column C, and kind of gave AEW its own flavor? Because I'm looking at the AEW, this one, as almost like a flagship. It doesn't necessarily have to match up to existing, but it's almost like a flagship, Upper Deck style of product.
Yep.
But of course, if we go into the other, if we think hockey, we could do like an SP Authentic, SP Game Used. Like there's a lot of cup. There's a lot of these different categories, that we can think of. But so is the next product similar-ish to an existing one, even if you're not going to say which one it is? Is it similar-ish to an existing, or is it completely its own deal with a little bit of a mishmash of some stuff?
It's similar to Contours. I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking. That's an ongoing.
You should have put that out there as a rumor. It would have been funny.
That's an ongoing joke with me and anybody that knows I built Contours back in the day. I would compare it to the set's called Spectrum. It's as I said, we've already kind of talked about it elsewhere. I believe the solicitation is either out or supposed to be out. Mm-hmm. And I would compare it to like an SP Game Used.
Okay.
As you saw, like our athletes sign stickers, so it is a sticker product. We're doing our best to try to infuse hard sign stuff, but the first year we're just getting all the sets out. So it'll have. I'm super excited about it. It'll have like it's a thicker card. It'll have like the base cards. It'll have a number of parallels. But when I talk about technology, it's got stuff. It's got a lot of memorabilia. Mm-hmm. I believe every box will have either some sort of premium memorabilia or an autograph in each box, similar to SP Game Used. Mm-hmm. It'll have Diamond relics, Battle Royal, Diamond Battle Royal relics.
Okay, gotcha.
So all the participants from the Diamond Battle Royale will have a Diamond card.
Oh, so basically everybody will be chasing the MJF one.
Pretty much.
Right.
We have metal cards, and
Hmm.
I've seen these and had these in hands. It's called chair shots, and they're shaped
Hmm.
like chairs with
Okay.
the wrestlers like head on the where the seat cushion would be and everything like that. And
Mm.
they're die cut. They look amazing.
Now, Billy, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I hope you realize if Sean Spears is not in that set, like that's a missed opportunity. He literally calls himself the chairman.
I will double check with my
Yeah,
coordinator
I
and
was
make
like, you
sure he's
better double check that because that's an oversight of oversights. It's like, guys, you do realize he calls himself he literally whacks people with a chair. That's kind of the thing he does.
I will see. I don't have I don't have the checklist in
No,
front of me.
I'm totally with you, but I just wanted to put it out there. As soon as you said it, I was like, is you, whether he's warranted or not at this
Yeah.
moment in time, like it's like he literally calls himself the chairman. It's like if there is a set that that man needs to be in, that's the one.
But the cards look sick. They're
I have no
nice
doubt.
thick metal like in the shape of chairs. I want to get the set because I think they look so cool.
Hmm.
There's you know we use mat, we use turnbuckle.
Okay.
We have cards with like multiple pieces of different pieces of the ring.
Okay.
We have apron. We have the the banner that goes around the on the barricades,
Yep.
on the
Hmm.
barricades around the thing. That we've got some of those banners that we've cut up. We've got tables. One of my favorite insert names, table for two.
Oh boy.
It's a dual mem card with a piece of a match used table. We have
Okay.
table for two and table for four. So we got
Wow.
both of
Okay.
those. But a lot of really cool memorabilia,
Hmm.
a lot of cool kind of inserts that again we're trying to do stuff that hasn't been done before. I don't think there's ever been a diamond card. I'm not sure if they've had metal cards before.
Hmm.
I was hoping we'd be the first one to get the turnbuckle pieces out there, but I think a competitor just put that into their most recent release. But
Could be.
we do use some other items that haven't been used before. So um, that's our next set after. I like how you call it. I like the flagship kind of
Hmm.
thought and
Yeah.
feel to it. But so yeah, we're looking forward to that set also because there's just some really cool cards in there that a lot of people haven't seen before.
No, I think that's exciting. The variety is, I think, what helps, and it's one of those things where wrestling, I think, is a genre where you're in a. I think the amount of sets that you're proposing there, I think, makes sense. I think that's a good amount of sets to give the people enough to chase. Um, Wrestling doesn't need 20, 10, 15, 20 sets. Like it would be too much for people. It'd be too many price points, too many things. But it gives them enough to because the hardcores are going to chase after like a lot of the stuff in it, like build sets and all that good stuff. So it's like, no, I think that's enough for them to kind of have some fun with, no doubt. Now, I think as we go along, what's going to be interesting, I'm going to be curious from my personal standpoint, obviously, since I'm going to be in the market for some of those singles. I'll be curious to see what the secondary market wants to do with it. I know the secondary market got excited about those boxes, to your point. Like, first product, like, I can imagine some folks are freaking out about it, like, oh my God, I got to get some boxes. And I know some folks will keep them sealed. That's what's going to be interesting going
Yep.
forward because it's the first product, it's the first issue and everything. So that's going to be unique in the space. They won't necessarily do it that same way again. Is there anything that, and you don't have to be too specific, but I'm just curious. Is there anything that you're kind of percolating your mind? It's still kind of a half baked idea, but you're thinking like, okay, you know what? With the wrestling themes and all the stuff you could do, it's like, I don't know if we can even do this, but this would maybe be something like I'd love to try to do this thing that might fit into this category.
And I don't know if I necessarily want to go too deep into
No, that's fair.
ideas just because it's funny. The first year or two, I worked at Upper Deck, and obviously my brain is just like I'm the new guy, and I want to have all these new, fresh ideas and stuff. And I swear I would come up with an idea, and 6 months later, I would see it first time showing up in a competitor product. I'm like,
Mhm.
someone is in our computer system stealing all of our ideas,
Mhm.
and it's annoying me. But there are definitely some ideas. There's definitely some concepts. There's definitely some technology that I want to incorporate into AEW. Some of it will be exclusive to AEW. Some of it's actually stuff that I'm looking to do with other sets also. So if we can achieve it in the other sets, we can definitely achieve it in AEW. But I I hate to avoid a question because I usually don't have a problem answering any questions. But
No, I left
when,
it open ended for that reason
when
because
it
it's one of those. It's one of the more uh, part of the fun I did have when I did chat with Carvin is that he was in a position where he wasn't working at a company anymore, so I could be like, okay, did you think of anything you didn't get a chance to try? And right now you're actively in the role of designing sets. So it was fun from his perspective. He can then say like, oh yeah, I wanted to try this, this, and this, and I thought it would be kind of cool to try this, this, and this. But when you're still in the midst, it's like there's still a chance, depending on what the idea is, there's still an outside possibility you may get a chance to try it. And so it's a little trickier. But it's kind of what makes it a little bit fun.
yeah. And some of the stuff that I want to do will also be dependent on the branding,
Mm-hmm.
on what kind of what set we're building. I'd love to do. Yeah, we didn't really do too much of it, but obviously, there's like dual cards and booklets and stuff. Those are kind of fun to do. It's tough sometimes with wrestling
Mm-hmm.
because like you might make the best dual card and then all of a sudden that tag team splits up, or that wrestler's not in the organization anymore, or the feud is no longer a feud, and you're just kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, am I making an outdated card? So I honestly worry about that sometimes, on whether or not to like really do like multiple wrestlers on cards, just because I don't want it to come out outdated.
No, I think the time sensitivity of the storylines makes it very tricky with the time gap between idea, printing, release.
Yeah.
There's this big gap. Uh,
Especially now too, when it's even tough to get like everybody knows the set was supposed to come out a while ago,
yeah,
and
I
it's
think
it's
wasn't it originally November? Wasn't it like around Expo-ish time? I think was one of the dates.
that was one of the dates. I want to say it was supposed to come out before that, but
Okay.
it's just been a struggle, and all of the companies are dealing with it right now.
Yeah.
And you just have to find the time slot, and you might have a perfect time slot, and if something comes up, then you know the next time slot for that amount of time might not be for a while. They might be able to make something else during that time, but if it's a bigger product, you need more time, you need more feeders and lines and all this other stuff, and it's very difficult. So yeah.
I think that's fair. I think it's fair. Question for you: if obviously we got logistic issues, which plays in exactly what you just said, but if things were quote unquote more normal-ish, from conception to design to you doing everything you need to do to get it printed, it because you mentioned about the issue with the time gap between storylines. But if you didn't have as many logistics issues as you had, what's the time gap between the time you can get to printing to release?
It's probably about a 9 to 12 month
Yeah.
process. That's usually a sticker product is about nine months. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that we have going for us is, we've a lot of the autographs we'll have in house already, so we can kind
Sure.
of already build the checklist. Whereas when you're dealing with other sports, you're building stuff, but you might not have those autographs in hand yet. You're waiting on them. There's not as much of a waiting period, so maybe that time could be cut even shorter. I don't know. And a lot of it depends also if there's memorabilia, or if there's, buyouts. Like I was telling you, those metal cards, those take time to make, and you have to get those printed someplace else. So we have specific vendors that will print our metal cards. So, but usually like a sticker product, we always say it's about 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, during the pandemic area, it's taken a little bit longer, but traditionally, yeah, 9 to 12 months.
No, I think that's completely fair. And I think that's good context for folks because sometimes on the live stream, I have conversation with folks where they'll talk about, because obviously in the news, at the time we're talking right now, the big news was Fanatics, Tops, and all that. And people are like speculating about what that's going to mean. And my statement was, it's like, probably very little at the beginning
Yeah,
because things don't just snap your fingers, change overnight, no matter what, even if you want to. There's products that are already in the pipeline. There are products that are already printed. There's products that are about to be shipped out. Like, you're not going to turn on a dime. You can't. You can't. You have to let things play out a little bit, at least for a little while. And then even if you got your own ideas, you got to start putting them in the pipeline. Start working on everything you need to do, and you're not going to see it for a while. That's why I wanted to just give context on like how long it's like. No, it's like you whatever change happens is going to take a while. No matter what. No matter what time everybody starts up, it's going to take a little while for that to actually take effect.
Yeah, and I think something else that I mean, we haven't obviously really run into it yet because we haven't put out a product. But like you'll see, um, there's wrestlers sometimes that are in products that might not be with the organization anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't understand is like some of those one, you need a certain amount of content to hit your quantity, like your case need. You need a certain number of autographs. And if you were relying on a certain number of autographs from wrestler A and wrestler B, even though if they're not in the organization, you gotta, and you're allowed to use them, you got to fill those requirements. But another thing that people don't understand is like a base set. It's not cut like where you can just pull people out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
cut. There's like two types of cutting, and this one's specifically called slipstream, where it's cut and it's just kind of like organized. It's pushed and gone, and you can't sit there and pull stuff. The other form of cutting is guillotine cutting, which is a lot more expensive because you're basically cutting like all the cards separately, and then you get like a stack of cards, and that's where you get like that's how you cut autograph cards or memorabilia cards or thicker cards. They're cut that way. But like a regular base card, it's you can't take those guys once it starts printing. You can't take them out of there by hand. I mean, think about how many thousands and thousands of cards you'd have to pull. And so yeah, you're going to get some outdated wrestlers and sets. But like I said, it's a 9-month process. So the checklist is probably made 2 months into it. Like we'll have a big meeting, and then our coordinator will create a checklist, and that base checklist is probably made 2 months in. So that's like 6 to 7 months before the product comes out is when the checklist is made, and then they have to get the photos and they have to color correct it and all that stuff, and then it finally like will get to the vendors, and then the vendors will print it, and then after they're done printing it, then they cut it and put it in packs and stuff. But we might not have time to change out people, and we might not have time to pull people.
Yeah, and I think folks that are in the space collecting the wrestling cards have experienced that because it's been very interesting and also very awkward. And we refer to the other companies, and they'll open product and they'll be like, this person was released, this person was released, this person was released, and it's like you're getting autographs, but this person's not there anymore.
Yeah, poor. I think it was Chrome had. You could go through
Yeah.
that, and there were a lot of names, and you just that product was probably sitting there for quite some time because of it. It's just hard to find time to print Chrome products right now because there's other companies that are eating up all the time on the for the vendors printing Chrome. That's for sure. So to print a small wrestling set, it's hard to find that time. And like you said, there's not with it. Adam Cole's getting a lot of love and he has still doesn't have a AEW card, but he definitely.
I won't show it too quickly because that would be inappropriate. But Adam Cole.
Yeah.
But that's why I say like in the interim, as fans, we look for some of those products and things that have them. But that's why I say like now I will be very interested in an Adam Cole AEW card, and that's what's going to be kind of fun. But that's why I say that's what makes wrestling interesting as a product. It's like the Adam Cole in that little card that I quickly flashed is still named Adam Cole, and looks kind of the same as the AEW Adam Cole, but he's got his new storylines, he's got his new feuds, and he's going to be doing his new thing, even though it's Adam Cole. He's got his gimmick, he's got his sting, but it's a little different. It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But that's always what makes it a little bit interesting. But no, I think that's completely fair. And it's a good call out as well because, of course, there is the vendors where that stuff gets printed. That's a factor in the manufacturing process as well. That's a big part of it. And it's good insight. Now, I've got one or two more questions I'll throw at you, but one thing, this is a personal thing because as soon as we were talking about it, I was thinking about it. It just made me laugh. Now this isn't a direct request, but if you did, it'd be hilarious. As far as multiple autographs, I think what we all need, Billy, and just listen to what I'm saying. I think what we all need is we need the Layla Hirsch Alexander Ovechkin dual auto. You got the two Russians. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing, and you have both licenses. I know it'd be very funny to combine the two, but I just laughed. I was thinking about it, and I was like, this would be unintentionally hilarious. It'd be very interesting to see how people would react to that.
Yeah, but then the only way you're going to get that is in Goodwin, because we can't
Probably, yeah.
and we can't pay the NHL license for this, and vice versa. Like
I mostly say I'm saying it facetiously, Billy, but it would be hilarious. Like I think it would be so much fun to have that combination because Layla Hirsch was actually born in Moscow, Russia. And I think she comes out with the flag on the trunks and everything, and it's one of those things. If she becomes a bigger player in AEW, it would be hysterical to have that combo.
Well, I'll bring it up to Tony, who builds Goodwin, to see if he wants to do the Russian card there.
I would just love to see the look of the look on the face of this. Like, really? It's like I don't know what to tell you. It's like I just thought it's like, oh, you got both licenses. It's like that may be the only time we could pull that stunt off. I'm sure there's other combos that could be put together, but I just thought that was hilarious. It was wonderful.
Well, see, there's a reason why you don't see like CHL cards with NHL either. It's expensive to combine licenses. Yeah. I'll just say that.
No, I get you. Like I said, it's mostly tongue in cheek, but I just thought about it. It's like there is no level of hilariousness that it's like I would cackle. It's like I will pay good money for that, sir. Just because of the entertainment value of it. But no, that's fair.
Just like we should do a CM Punk Marvel card too.
You could, that would be its own, like, obviously complication with it, but at least there's a connection there. I think fans love the connections because in this case, like I said, at least they're both both Russian, so there is at least we're not completely going out of left field. We're not just randomly throwing two people together. But it would still feel random, from the outsider looking. It's like until you actually go, okay. They got both those licenses. Oh, okay, now I sort of get it.
Do you do a Chris Hemsworth? Because he wrote Thor. Do you do Chris Hemsworth and CM Punk? Because I think what do you do?
Do you have Chris Hemsworth? Is that even his play?
I'm just saying Marvel. Like he played Thor, and CM Punk wrote I think a Thor annual was one of the Marvel books that he did.
No, I could completely see. You could definitely do a celebrity connection. The only reason why I thought it would be kind of amusing is because there is an AEW license in the Upper Deck family, and there is the NHL license in the Upper Deck family. To your point, obviously that's a whole arrangement in and of itself.
We got the Marvel license.
Okay, so then I get, but does that cover Chris Hemsworth though? Like specifically, I think it would be its own individual deal. I would think.
Well, we have a deal with we've made deals with Chris Hemsworth before.
Gotcha.
And he's been autographed in our Marvel products. So
okay, well then that's not the silliest idea I've ever heard, to be honest.
I was trying to play your game. I thought I did a good job.
No, as long as there's a contractual under the umbrella thing, I like it. As long as there's a contractual under the umbrella thing, I'm for it. I don't think we're gonna get it, but it's still fun to chat about it and to speculate on. And that's the point. Like I think the underlying point is this is all supposed to be fun, and I'm treating it like it's supposed to be fun. We can have a little fun with some of these silly combinations, but I think it's cool that they have it there, and I think it's cool that they're receptive to a lot of interesting and different ideas, which is great. And I think there's a lot of possibilities. And yeah, I wouldn't really want it to match their competitor in terms of configuration and everything because that would be no fun. If we want that, we already got that. So like, where's the joy in that?
Yeah, they like. And another thing that we really focused on is, so they said they want their own stuff. Like, and trust me, like we've already discussed, like we're old school wrestling fans. I was like, oh my gosh, we could make such a cool like vintage looking wrestling set. They're like, no, we want modern looking cards. We want a modern set. I'm like, okay, that makes, I get it totally. And so the other thing I didn't want to do is, so you're comparing this first set to flagship. UD1, UD2, but we didn't use the same design. We're not copying the same design as UD1, and in potential other sets that we build, we're not copying the same designs that we use for other sets, whether it be vintage sets or whether it be modern sets. That was one thing that I stressed, is I do not want to copy. They want their own thing. We're going to give them their own thing, and we're going to give them their own thing, and not make any shortcuts. So the canvas design, it's a different canvas design. It's a different base card design. We did not want to copy our other products. And another thing I stressed, and I'm crossing my fingers, I haven't seen the set yet. Please do not repeat pictures. That is one of my biggest pet peeves for collecting wrestling cards. And I have stressed to not repeat the same pictures throughout sets in the year, because that's just, for those PC, how annoying is it for PC people to collect and just basically see the same picture recropped throughout the sets? And I understand probably why they did it, because color correction costs a good chunk of change for each picture that you do. So they probably have a picture, it's probably color corrected, and they just recrop it and make it look different, and so it looks different than a card from a previous set, and they use it. But that was something I highly stressed also.
No, I think that's completely fair. So let me pose this question to you, and we'll put our collector's hats on. You know the checklist better than I do, but I've got one beside me anyway, because I can at least scan over to it. If you were looking at it from a collector perspective, you at least know who's in the checklist and all that. What would be the card that you would chase as a collector? What would be your favorite? What would be something you would want to chase after from what's here, from what exists in this brand, in this product?
Some of the autographs I like are the dotted line autographs.
Okay.
Those were we wanted to try to get those out quick to get them hard signed. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it printed quick enough from when our signing was with the wrestlers. So that was our first attempt at hard sign, was in the initial set. Since the checklist is out, and I thought it was going to be unannounced, but it's not, I wouldn't mind one of those CM Punk autographs. That's in there for sure. I think that'll be a huge card. There's some guys that I like in there. I already told you I kind of like Cody Rhodes. I'm a fan of Britt Baker. I kind of like what she's done with her character. As I said, I like the dotted line insert. I'm probably, in all honesty, I'm probably going to try to collect from a set standpoint one of the parallels.
Sure.
Either the Dynamite or the Pyro. I haven't gotten them in hand yet, so whichever one kind of catches my eye first, I will probably try to collect a full set of parallels.
Okay, I think that seems reasonable. From my perspective, there's a couple of different categories that I would look at as a singles collector. Just looking at it from a singles collector, because Britt Baker is great, Sheeta's great, a couple of those. But I also like a Wardlow, because that could be like a great prospect who I think has a great future. And like the future is bright for a guy like that, where probably down the road that's the kind of thing where it's like, actually, when Wardlow then gets to be more featured more prominently, he can be a big star. And it's like, no, go get him now while he's basically a prospect effectively.
And like we talked earlier before this, I'm a kind of a PC guy, and I have kind of, I don't want to say ignored value, potential purchases on value, but collected what I like to collect. So there's definitely, like, if you were a prospector, there's definitely a lot, like we were talking, there's a lot of guys that their first cards are in this set, and people are going to want those. I just personally just kind of, like I said, if I've had interactions with some of these people and like them, that I'll probably collect them, because I'll probably down the road want to try to meet them or see them or go to a convention or something where they're going to be, and try to get some autographs. And, I've got a nice little box in my personal collection of just signed wrestling cards. And that's kind of one of the things I like to do. And so, from a prospect standpoint, there's definitely some good options. But like I said, I'm kind of like a PC guy, so
Mhm.
I have specific people I like, and I'll probably collect those.
Oh, I think that's completely fair. It's just kind of fun for me because then you also get to kind of follow. For me, it's not so much looking at it for down the road. Oh, then you can move it when it goes for more. To me, it's just like it's less expensive today, and it'd be kind of fun to follow their progress
True.
and be like, grab it while it's less expensive, and then okay, just enjoy it. Then from there on in. But I would say one more that I would throw out there just from this checklist because the autograph checklist is fun. Again, long tougher odds, but the other one that I just enjoy just for the magnificence of it, it would be like a Billy Gunn. Just because it's like, after all these years, it's like, in the AEW product, Billy Gunn. And by the way, he's in ridiculous shape. It's very disturbing.
Oh, jeez. I
Like, it's
have.
highly disturbing.
That's one of the first. Not one. That's. I own a Mr. Ass T-shirt, and I
Mhm.
still own it. I've had it for probably about 15 years.
Mhm.
I still own a Billy Gunn shirt, the one with the big pink lips.
Yeah.
Right,
But the
right
thing is,
there on the
like, he walks out there with his sons who look like they're half his size. And by the way, his sons are probably normal, like reasonable size. But the thing is, he's like 6'5", 6'6", and he still works out like a demon.
yeah.
But he like stands out. Like when he gets in the middle of the ring, I was like, you're one of the bigger guys still.
Oh yeah.
Like you stand out as like we can see you.
He's that dad on the basketball court that doesn't want his son to win yet. Like is still like trying to compete against his son. And I think that's kind of like I'm still gonna compete with you in the gym. I'm still gonna try to be, the best in the family. Like that just I mean, and he's a legend too. Like
Oh yeah,
one
for
of
sure.
one of the things I was super excited about the set was as you noticed in the set, it's not just the wrestlers. Like I knew that we had some legends in the as we call it crew members, but
Mhm.
it could be
Good old JR.
Jim. Yeah, I was just about
Good
to
old
say
JR.
JR's in the set. Like
Yep.
how cool is that? Like I think he's got autographs in there, and
Mhm.
there's something Taz. Uh, for old school people, like Taz was a big deal back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, I remember we used to play that Raw Deal card game.
Yes.
And man, he was impossible to like. My friend would use Taz all the time, and he just suplex after suplex after suplex, and beat me. But there's some really cool Jake the Snake Roberts,
Mhm.
and we were so like we got some. I say last minute now, but they weren't. I mean, if you look at the set, a guy like Sting was like a last minute addition to the set because of when it was built. But it's awesome that we've got Sting in there too. So there's some legends that we call crew guys
Mhm.
in the set that I'm really happy to have in there because a lot of those guys were guys that I watched growing up.
It's a bit of a full circle situation because yeah, when you're talking about a Sting though, and some of those guys like that, it's like we can get WCW cards and then put them right beside the Upper Deck ones. It's like because one of my favorite things, and I bought a couple of the sealed ones because there was a WCW card game that were right around 2000, 2001. That
Mm-hmm.
was from Wizards of the Coast. And like Buff Bagwell's on the front of it and whatever. But inside, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of cards that have Sting in it and whatever. So you got Sting at that time period, right towards the end of his WCW, and he's still doing his thing in AEW all these years later, and there he is. It's Sting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's kind of fun. Like I said, I appreciate some of those older guys because it's like, nope, I remember watching you wrestle back then, and here you are. You're still doing it.
Yeah, we went to a wrestling con, and I actually got a picture with Billy. It was Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, and
Sure.
me and my friend, like before it was like me, my roommate, and then I made sure I stood next to Billy Gunn because I had my shirt on, and he
Mm.
was next to Road Dogg. But yeah, it was a pretty cool picture.
No, I can imagine for sure. So I'll leave it on this. We'll wind her down. But question for you. Obviously, we talked about a lot of different elements of it. So is there anything kind of last thoughts? We're right on the cusp of it being released, but obviously some folks are going to check it. Some folks are going to open some boxes, so that should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to watching some of the box breaks. To be honest with you, I'm looking forward to checking it out as it gets pulled and things like that. But obviously, there'll be some folks like myself that'll be checking out the secondary market, looking for. We got to get our John Silver, Johnny Hungy autograph and all that good stuff. I like how deep you go with the autograph checklist. Like it's a lot of fun. So that I think there'll be some fun for a lot of different folks that have different fandoms and categories. Any last thoughts on kind of hey, people, go buy the thing.
I mean, this is a set for, like you said, it's deep. It's got everybody like that you're looking for from at least the time period of when the set initially was made, and it is the first edition set. It's the inaugural set, and there's a lot to say about that. There will be a lot of first cards for a lot of wrestlers. This will be that set that a lot of people will go back to, and say, hey, this is so and so's first appearance on a card. Like, I need to go back and get that card, like we're doing right now with the old, Hulk Hogan cards, and looking for just old school. That was one of the things when the market started booming again, and everybody started looking at all these other different licenses and stuff to try to find first cards, like rookie cards, or what's going to be the next big thing. And wrestling for a while was that next big thing, and people were going back and finding all these old wrestling cards. This is that set that down the road people are going to be coming back to and looking for those first wrestling cards of a lot of people with a lot of potential. So, and it's something different, people. It's not your standard wrestling set. And like I said, we're doing it. Our competitors are going to be doing it in the future with their new license with WWE. So, I hate to say it, but times are changing, and we're changing with it, and we want you guys to check it out, because there's a lot of really cool content in here, and it's not like we're just giving you fluff. We're giving you a lot of cool technology, a lot of parallels, a lot of stuff that's been established in other products that has great value. Those high gloss cards out of 10 for talk to some hockey collectors if you don't know what kind of return you can get on some of these high gloss parallels and exclusive parallels. And as I said, there'll be other rare stuff in there, and then this is just the tip of the iceberg. As I said, we've already built 4 other sets after this, so the future is bright. And I usually say this a lot more in all these interviews, but we're working with one of the best licensors that I've worked with at Upper Deck. They are so active and so excited. They're just as excited about it as we are, if not more excited. They really, they want to know what's going on. They want to help in any way possible. They have been so giving when it comes to assets for the sets. They want us to put out the best product just as much as we want to put out the best product. So, and I think you'll see that in this first set coming out.
That is fantastic. Billy, you've done a tremendous job promoting it. It looks really interesting and very exciting from the perspective of a collector. Like I said, not a box breaker, but I'm out there. I'm ready to go after those singles, so I'm looking forward to it. And congratulations on the cusp of it actually being released, of it actually arriving.
Thursday,
Yeah.
January 6th. I'm that guy that I finally stopped telling people a date. So the fact
that was the reason why the timing was like, no, I'm waiting until it seems imminent. Like we're right about there.
They finally stopped telling me dates, because they knew I'd get excited and tell people, and then I kept having to back off of what I said, and I'm just like, tell me when it's official. Like, tell me when, like, we're shipping stuff out.
That's what I mean. But that was part of the reason. My timing for reaching out to you and fighting through all the red tape, the 57 people that I need to fight through to talk to Billy. So, like I said, he's a very important man. All the people I had to fight through is like, no, I basically need you to put it on the truck. I need it to be on the road, headed towards its destination, and then let's talk about it.
I'll tell you what. Today in the office, it was our first day back, and a couple packages. All the new stuff always goes to Grant's office first.
Yep.
Who's my boss. He's in charge of product development at Upper Deck. And a big box came in. I was just like, oh, it's AEW. I'm so excited. I'm like, Grant, can I? He's like, go ahead, because I have to do case checks. So I grabbed the box. He's like, here's the knife. He's like, put it on the desk, take it off this. And I rip it open, and and it's like MVP. I'm like, no. I'm like, that released last week, and I was so bummed out. I thought it was AEW, and it was such
somewhere off in the distance. The one MVP collector is like really hardcore, but I was like, what are you saying?
No, I love MVP. I always tell people that's one of the most important sets I build at Upper Deck
I think
because
it's a good value. I think if you want to have some fun ripping, I think it's a good value. I
yeah,
think it's a
and
good value.
it's a gateway for kids to
Yeah.
start collecting, and I think that's one of the most important things. And I think this product at the AEW, is a pretty good gateway
Mhm.
for younger people to start collecting too, because they'll be able to find who they like and who they see on TV. So yeah, so hopefully tomorrow we get it before you guys. Because if we do, I'll post some stuff up there. I'm already members of some Facebook groups and stuff, and I've got no problem showing a little bit of stuff off because you guys have waited long enough. I'll just say that.
No, I think it's good. I can pretty much guarantee, and I said to Billy earlier, I wanted to record because I wanted us to have the chance to chat. I wanted us to have the chance to have this discussion, and it's like, no, I'll turn this thing right around. We'll get it right up on we'll get it right up on the channel, and we'll let people have some fun, and the moment is nigh. We're very close, and those of us who kind of enjoy the wrestling is like it's an opportunity. Like, it combines the card collecting with the wrestling fandom. It's kind of fun, and like I enjoy the AEW product clearly. I shill for the damn thing. So the other one isn't getting that promotion. Like, they got plenty of money, they can promote themselves. But I want to have fun with a company and a wrestling product that I can enjoy and have my fun with as an old school fan of it. And this covers that niche and then gives me a lot of interesting stuff to look after. Jake Hager. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm just scanning over to the checklist. Like, really, Jake Hager? Okay, that's kind of interesting too. But there's a lot on that checklist. It is a deep checklist. I will say that for sure.
Yep. They gave us the whole roster. They said, here you go. We got referees in there. We've got everyone and anyone. They said, here's the roster. We're gonna, like I said, assets. They're like, you want autographs from everybody? All right, here you go. And they worked with us on that. It was amazing. And there's going to be people. There's going to be a lot of people that have never had an autograph card that you're going to see autograph cards in the set. And what's going to be funny is people are going to get an autograph card and be like, ugh, this isn't work. They're not, they might not recognize the wrestler because they're not like one of the big names, the main event people. And what they're not going to realize is there's going to be a secondary market for those guys because they've never had an autograph card before. And there's going to be those diehards that have been waiting for the autograph of a specific person. And I'm like you said, I'm very intrigued to see what the secondary market does because I think some people are going to be pleasantly surprised.
What I'm going to be interested in, and I'll be completely honest with you, I want to see if someone actually goes for this entire set, because that checklist with the interesting combination of the different odds and all that to go from 1 to 100 on the autographs, that's going to be a very interesting. I would love to see a video of somebody showcasing that set, that completed set.
We'll put it up on our social media if somebody does that. I can't promise them any product or anything like that. I let Chris Carlin do that sort of stuff, but I will make sure it goes on social media if someone finishes that whole set.
I think that'll be very exciting. So what I'll do in the description is I'll put a link to some of the Upper Deck social medias as well. So if people want to follow along with what's coming up with that, it is exciting, and I'm like I said, I'm looking forward. Part of the reason I reached out now is because it's like we seem to be on the cusp of it, and I'm interested, and I want to check it out. I'll be looking forward to checking out some content on it too for sure, and trying to chase after some of that stuff myself. So Billy, you've been more than generous. Thank you so much for coming on and laying out some of the facts on this thing.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the next one.